here, I guess. On it, please. We'll just have a look at this real quick. Over the past few weeks, we've run a series of short matchmaking tests based on various feedback we've received. These range from making the matchmaker faster, stricter, various combinations in between, and yes, even disabling skill-based matchmaking. Yep, we were right. Thumbs up. And reverting to the old grade-based matchmaking. Yep, we assume that too. I want to start by thanking everyone who took the time to share their thoughts about each test. While we're able to track things like queue times behind the scenes, your feedback is invaluable when it comes to finding extraordinary cases and for getting an idea of these changes. Getting an idea of how these changes feel rather than how they perform. Thank you. We've kept the details of the test a secret until now, as to not influence feedback. But since the tests are over, we're ready to dive in and share some details on what was tested. But first, we need to explain what each of the changes mean. Fair warning, it's going to be a long and very technical one. Good, I like technical shit. Where can you see? Up until about here. We have a bunch of settings which we can tweak behind the scenes. Here's a quick rundown of the ones we changed during the tests. The first is maximum range. When you search for a match, we try to find other players who are close to your rating within 50 points. If we aren't able to do so, the search gradually expands until we are able to find you a match. I knew this. By default, this is set to 500 points away from your own rating. This is so you're guaranteed to get a match after waiting a while, though it may not be the fairest. The second is expansion time. This is how long it takes to reach the maximum range. By default, it's set to 5 minutes. Okay. Then we have a few switches we can toggle. These are bidirectional matchmaking. Normally, once one player has been waiting long enough, other players can be pulled into their match as long as they're within the maximum range. Bidirectional matchmaking requires both players to have expanded enough to encompass each other for them to be pulled into the same match. By default, this was off. If this sounds confusing or where it is, it's complicated. Here's a little chart to clear things up. So each player's actual rating is shown in red, right? This is like an infographic. Did these at uni. And the current matchmaking search is shown in blue, right? Yeah, makes sense. In example 1, player A's search has expanded to cover player B, but player B has not yet expanded to cover player A, so they won't be matched together. The search is shown in blue. Oh, does his need to go there as well? Okay, so they need to both hit each other. Player B's is not expanded to cover A. Okay. In example 2, both players expanded enough to cover each other, so they'll now be matched together. Okay. When we use the default unidirectional matchmaking, both examples were eligible for a match. Okay. So basically, if just one of them touches, both will be joined. And then on this version, they both need to touch for them to be joined. Sid, thank you for the 25 months. Almighty for the 40 if I missed that for you already. Appreciate it, mate. Grade visibility. This one is nice and simple. We can switch off grades in post-match screen since they typically aren't used for matchmaking. They're completely meaningless. This doesn't actually have any effect, but we were curious to see how people feel about it and how it affects their perception of matchmaking. Get rid of it, you're deceiving people. Grade matchmaking, unless that is what you're going to use. We can switch off skill-based matchmaking entirely and instead use grades for matchmaking. For folks who've joined us recently, this roughly is how the matchmaking worked before the introduction of skill-based matchmaking. Yep, best one. The tests are now the part you've all been waiting for. Just what exactly was tested each day. We'll also show our expectations. So what did I say what I liked? I can't remember which one I said. I think, did I like 1? I thought 1 was like no MMR, I feel like. One, 7, and 8, did I say? Alright, interesting. 1, 7, and 8. 1, 6, 7. Can you remember what I said? 167. Okay. We'll have a look what they are. So one is this. So where am I? And now the point you've all been waiting for, just what exactly was tested each day. We'll share expectations, how they matched up with the results. Quick disclaimer, we'll be talking a lot about your averages in this section. If it doesn't line up with your experience, don't worry. We're aware that things can vary depending on a bunch of different factors, time, region, role, rating. So they're averaging everyone. Okay. Okay, this is gonna be weird. So it's getting, so the majority of players play casual, like on every game. That's just normal. So they're gonna be the average. So this is gonna be interesting if they're getting the average of that, because it's always gonna be average of casual players, just like any game. So let's see what that is. For the free tests, we did not expect much of an improvement. These free were meant to test individual variables and see if the effect has on matchmaking. Afterwards, we started to mix these variables to see the impact they would have together. Okay. Yeah, going off casuals, I don't think it's smart, but because they're going to get better. Anyway, let's see. So expansion time decreased to 1 minute from 5. Faster matches. Particularly for players off-peak times, though the quality of matches would be lower. Result, as expected. Wait times dropped significantly. Did they? Can't remember. Across the board, faster than any other day, especially for players on the extreme ends of the rating spectrum. The quality of matches on average did not change a whole lot, though some players may have noticed a large gap in skill levels. Yes, 100%. Kill rates noticeably changed on the ends of the spectrum, with high-rated killers becoming more deadly, and low-rated killers having harder time. This is likely due to players on the ends of the spectrum being paired with more players from the middle. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Low-rated killers. Are they talking about low MMR killers? I think they're talking about low MMR killers when they say that. Low-rated killers, I was thinking like weak killers, like, you know, Wraith compared to Nurse, for example. I think they're on about MMR. So players who were lowly rated playing killer, right? Yeah, okay. So low rated killers will have a hard. This is what I said. I said low rated killers would have a harder time, and then higher rated killers have a better time. Yeah, that's literally what I said. I'm pretty sure I said that on my tweet. I said that would happen. So yeah, that's correlating. So this was. Oh god, these were horrific. I remember it was like hell, right? If I remember correctly. Expectations. So this was test 2. Maximum rage decreased to 250 from 500. So you only match with people close to 250. Nowhere lower or higher. They two are horrible. Slow matches, especially with players with extraordinarily high and low ratings, and in off-peak hours, but higher quality matches. Yeah. Yeah, that's higher quality. Right, okay. Like we predicted, wait times did increase for players on either end of the spectrum, although players in the middle did not have a noticeable impact on matchmaking times. Yeah, I don't think middle people will notice anything with these tests. I feel people at middle MMR probably didn't even talk about these tests because it won't affect them. Overall, this test only slightly reduced the average rating difference compared to a non-test day. Though curiously, players on the far ends of the spectrum may have seen it increase. It was horrific, test 2. It was horrific. The games were probably the least fun games I've had in any of the tests, if I remember correctly. Test 3. Enable bidirectional matchmaking. Expectation, longer queue times for players in off-peak hours and players at the extreme end of the rating spectrum, but fairer matches for players that get matched quickly. Results, longer queue times were an understatement. Some players were experiencing exceptionally long queue times, 50-minute plus. This is because there weren't enough players to match them against in their region and skill level at the time they were playing. And the players who were close enough to their skill level would not get matched with them unless they also were unable to find a match. Oof. Okay. This is longer than we'd ever like anyone to wait. To play it safe, we cut this test short and altered it a few hours in. A hard cap was added to switch back to the default unidirectional matchmaking after someone had been waiting for 5 minutes. We were easily waiting longer than 5 minutes for some of our games. We're on about. This card was used for all future tests where bidirectional matchmaking were used. Of all the tests, this one reduced the average rating difference the most, cutting it roughly a third. However, the long queue times make this a fairly unappealing solution. What are they on about by the average, reduce the average rating difference? What are they on about by this? The average rating difference. Like, they actually want to get people very close MMR with each other. It's not good, man. It sounds like they're doing these tests not to see if MMR is not liked, because it isn't. It looks like they want to find out how to make it so it's even closer, but you still can get matches quickly. From what I'm seeing right now. So not ideal. We'll see, I guess. Jazz, they give the 10 bits. They said nothing about what happens to kill rates on day 2, only about matchmaking time. They're not being open with the data. Well, we'll see. It hasn't gone all the way down yet. Maximum range decreased to 250 from 500. Expansion time increased to 1 minute from 5 minutes. Expectation players who already get quick matches may notice a slight drop in quality, but the players on the far end may find matches quicker. On the other hand, the lowering range may be limited. Blah blah. Queue times. I'm going to look at, I think, results. Queue times for Survivor were faster across the board, but killer queue times had no noticeable difference. In terms of kill rates, on the mid-high end of skill groups, kill rates dropped slightly, close to 50%. Wait. What? Slightly is 50%. Are you fucking mad, devs? Kill rates dropped slightly. Wait. Oh, wait. Maybe they just mean 50% because it was like 52, maybe. Do they mean that? They probably mean that. Yeah, they probably mean that. So, usually it's 55, but now it's 50, or close to 50, like 51. That's probably what they mean, because the other thing makes no sense. While the lower groups remained mostly the same. Well, yeah, obviously. I don't know why they don't realise this. And I don't know why a lot of people don't realise this. You know, if you do make changes, what's only going to impact the better players. The lower level players will still be the same, because the killers are playing bad and the survivors are playing bad. Just changing things for good players who are playing good isn't going to do anything to them. I don't know why people don't get that. And then when the killers are playing a bit better, and these little changes make them play better, they'll go out of the MMR anyway, and then you'll still be with the bad killers. So I don't get it. But I've tried to drive that point across for fucking years, and I've just give up now. But I don't get it. I don't get where the minds are of them people. I really don't. But anyway, test. What test is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5, right? So maximum range increased to 350 from 500. And grades hidden. So are these the same, but they just hide the grades? Interesting. Ah, this is the one I liked. I liked this one. I remember the end one. But this apparently is the same as this, I think. This was like a placebo thing, maybe. Dua, I think. Thank you for the sub, appreciate it. So this was decreased to 350, and expansion time decreased to 1 minute, and the other one was maximum decreased to 350, expansion time to 1 minute. And then they had bi-directional matchmaking as well, but they just hid the grades. So more or less the same result as the previous test, as all the variables are the same. We were curious to see what kind of impact hiding grades would have on the impact we received, since grades are no longer used for matchmaking, though they can give the impression that the measure of skill. To our surprise, the overall feedback appeared slightly more positive with grades hidden when directly comparing opinions from folks who left feedback on both April the 4th and 7th tests. We discovered that feedback was usually the same, if not better, when grades were hidden. We opted to leave grades hidden over the weekend. Interesting. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. So I liked these then, right? Oh, could you see that? Shit, I forgot. You see it up here, don't you? Fuck. Well, I read it anyway. And this is switched back to grade. Okay, let's see what they say about switching back to grade. These tests were added later as we started to see more speculation about the tests. Occasionally, someone would predict that one of the things we were testing was the old matchmaking system, and we figured, hey, why not give it a shot? Expectation, matches would have a lot more variety in players' skill, very similar to the old rank-based matchmaking. This was the best one, weren't it? I remember. Right, I'm pretty sure I like this one the most. Want to give a shot? We also expected to see the average grade difference fall dramatically. As suspected, reports of one-sided matches started flooding in. We can also confirm this on our end. The average kill rates for this day saw the most dramatic change yet, with the highest skill level rocketing up to roughly 80%. So people who are really good at the game did well. 3 kills per match on average. So people who the highest skill, people who are really good at the game got 3 kills on average, and that is a problem. And plummeting to around 20%, 1 kill per average on the lower. So people who are bad at killer got 1 kill on average, and people who are good at killer got 3 kills on average. They're going to tell me that this is bad, I have a feeling. The average grade difference, however, decreased significantly, as expected. Now, to be clear, this is not quite the same as the old rank-based matchmaking. For starters, the grades reset all the way back to bronze 1. It's true. While ranks only reset 1 colour tier, and it's not possible to lose grades anymore. We wanted to give it a fair shot, so we specifically set this test as close to the grade reset as possible to give people the largest window to settle into their grades. This also is why the last day was cut short. We didn't want to leave the test running over the grade reset, since that would have everyone matched against everyone. That makes sense. We assumed that. Furthermore, a 1 to 2 day test is not the same as leaving it on for an extended period of time. Given more time, the ability to lose grades, we expect that people facing far too difficult opponents would eventually have their grades drop to... They're literally talking. They are literally talking about their old system and how their old system is better. Like, yes, that is what happened. Your grades dropped because you could lose grade. And then you wouldn't go against as strong people. Yeah. Fuck me, man. This is so weird. It's like, you had this for longer than you've had skill-based matchmaking. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the ability to lose grades. We expect that people facing far too difficult opponents would eventually have the grades drop to a place where they're more comfortable. Yep, like they used to. While folks who are consistently overperforming would climb. Yep. Ultimately, though, this highlights a big issue with using grades or ranks for matchmaking. A very experienced player who just hasn't played a lot lately can very easily be paired against players that are new to the game. As we've learned in the past, grades ranks are a strong indicator of playtime than skill. So instead of doing like SBMM and stuff, why don't you just try and work out what you do here? Where... How would you do that? I guess you just wouldn't have rank resets. That would fix it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Just don't have rank resets. Boom. Fixed it for you. There you go. You're welcome. No rank resets. Now people who are really good who don't play a lot will still be really high rank because it don't reset. You're fucking kidding me. Oh, fuck him. Whatever. This test was very polarizing, but interestingly, we started to see more positive feedback, and we started showing when we started showing grades again. This indicates that there's definitely a strong connection between seeing grades in the post-match screen and the sentiment about the match. What the fuck you want about? What? What? So you go against like some 4-man comp team who sabo all the hooks perfectly and bodybot perfectly, because you're playing an unviable killer and you get no hooks and they all run out. But you look at the grades and it makes you feel good. And now you're fine about everything because you saw the grades. Like what? What's he on about? Do you know what he's on about here? Like, me seeing the grades doesn't change how fun or not fun the match were I just played. People complain when they see Ash ranks when they Ure. But they don't mean anything. Seeing that you played with people around your grade. Right. Okay, well I can't... This doesn't... what's the word? This doesn't work for me. Like, I can't... What's that word? When you can't... Relate. Yeah, I can't relate to that at all. It doesn't make any sense. The match is unfun because of the match, not because I can't see the grades. Learnings. Learnings. I don't know, just... I don't know, it sounds weird as a word. We've learned that the strictness of the matchmaking and the quality of the matches is without a doubt linked. Looser connections had a notable effect on kill rates, opponent variety, and also the feedback we received. While the larger variety in opponents was appreciated by some, there was an opposite reaction from others who are now struggling in tougher matches. Yes, but well, it depends which one they're on about, actually, because they did loads. I don't know which one they're talking about. Simply put, on the other side of any casual match, where one player can win without trying, is a person who's having a bad time despite trying their best. Yes, that's the same what happens with top MMR, though. You try your best and have a bad time. But you're good at the game. Instead of being bad at the game and trying your best and having a bad time, but getting better, so then you don't have a bad time the more you play. I don't know, man. Yeah, the way they think is weird. Like, if you're not good at a game, you're not going to have as good a time as someone who's good at a game. That's just usually how it is, unless you don't care about winning, and then you're fine. On the other hand, the inverse is also true. Stricter matchmaking brought the kill rates closer to the middle, which is 2 kills, by the way, 2 hooks. 2 hooks. But many found the matches to be too competitive to enjoy. Yes! Fucking hell. They got something completely right there. 100%. I don't want to go against comp teams. Ideally. I really don't. While folks in the lower groups of the skill rating would have fewer unfair matches. The higher end of the skill groups ended up in tougher matches filled with meta perks and killers. I love how they're saying lower groups will have fewer unfair matches, but then when they talk about higher end, they don't say it's unfair, they just say it's tough. These are tough matches. You know, where the game's balanced around bad players, and we nerf Wraith and stuff because too OP for bad players? Well, when you're really good at the game, and these are like pushover killers, you have tough matches. They're just tough matches. But you know these players who can definitely get better and play killer or survivor quite poorly, they're unfair. That's unfair matches. Like, what? No, it isn't tough matches, they're unfair. Like, there's many matches you can have with killer which are completely unfair. These tests overall highlight 2 distinct groups. Higher-level skill players who want more variety in their matches. Yes, very true, I do. Lower mid-skill players who understandably don't want to get destroyed by high-skill players. What? So they're just going to stay lower mid. They're never going to get better. It's so weird mentality. Like, I do agree with people who are brand new to the game shouldn't go against, like, really good players, but you could just do it where... I've said this before as an idea. In your first maybe 500 hours in the game, you only match with other people with 500 hours until you break past that, and then you've got enough experience to then push out and go against more people. So my idea was go back to grade matchmaking. So my idea right now, just from listening to all this, go back to grade matchmaking, don't have a rank reset, And then if you're 0 to 100 hours, you only match with other people in your rank in that time frame. Once you pass that time frame, you go against everyone else normally. Boom. That's what I'd do. So you get people who are very new going against other people who are very new. Even when they come out of the 500 hours, if they're still quite chill, they'll still be low grade. People who are very high grade will be going against other people who are very high grade. And then there's no rank reset, so people who are very high grade, they don't play the game for a year and they come back, they're still very high grade. If they keep losing, they're obviously going to go down, and then they're going to go against people of that level because they've lost their skill or whatever because they've been away. Boom, done. Done. What about Smurfs? Dude, people smurf all the time. How will you change it? They're doing it right now. People are smurfing literally right now. Having a hidden MMR is the easiest way to smurf in this game ever. What do you want about? Let's not talk about, like, Smurfs have been in this game non-stop forever. There's no point in talking about that. Like, this isn't fixing Smurfs. That won't fix Smurfs. Like, Smurfs are Smurfs. Smurfs are very hard to fix. What do you think? Like, kind of obvious, right? But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think the devs... I don't know, there's something about them. It's confusing. It reminds me a bit of the culling devs, where there were loads of people giving really good ideas, and they just couldn't listen to stuff, or they listened to bad stuff. Because culling had such potential as well. Damn, they're so close. I like, that what I just said is getting so close to having a really good experience for everyone. It's so close. I'll probably tweet this as well. I'll put this on YouTube as well and see what people think. Because you know, with me, I don't just read it out. Like, you get some people where they'll just read it out and they won't really talk about it. I'm very opinionated. I will talk about it. That's what you get here, man. You know what you get here, right? Mr. Craig, 65 bits. I've said it before, but you could just match based off win-loss streak. If a survivor that has 3 wins in a row plays a killer with 3 wins in a row, same for losses in a row. What's a win though? 2 kills? Hooks? That's going into all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's an idea. It could be better than what they do, but we'll see. Anyway, the biggest takeaway here is that going too far either way is never a one-size-fits-all solution. What we'd often notice is how some players loved a particular test because they were seeing more variety in their opponents, but at the same time, they'll say, I was just thinking, this is what my mind does. As I'm literally reading, I'm just thinking about the no rank reset. It's Sunta, thank you for the sub. It's actually even better because you could do the no rank reset, but you could still do it at a specific time in the month. You get rewarded for what rank you're at. So if you keep at that rank, you get rewarded, and you make it harder to be maybe the very, very top. The very, very top one, maybe, where if you lose one game, you go down from it, right? You can literally do something like that as well. I was just thinking that as I was reading. Back to this. Each time some tests were also frustrating to a lot of people who suddenly were getting matched with people way better than them. Fucking hell. Way better than them, which you can actually get to. Whatever. I'm repeating myself. Neither person is wrong in this scenario. Each of them just wants something... each of them just wants something, expects something different from matchmaking. Each of them wants something, expects something different from matchmaking. Okay. Lastly, we have discovered that hiding grades in the post-match screen definitely influences the feedback received. Respect this is for 2 reasons. One, long-time players who may have missed the matchmaking changes could still think that grades are used for matchmaking. Because could still thinking that grades are used. That sounds wrong, right? And 2, some players still feel like grades are an indicator of skill. And they will continue to do that, devs. Like, it's very normal. I mean, every other game out there does it that way. I need to read that again. Some people still feel like the grades are an indicator of skill in spite of not being used for matchmaking. Oh, man. I've searched them in my eyes as well because it's fucking hilarious. It's yeah. I mean, you're using something that people know on any other game is used for skill. Oh man, I told you it'd confuse people. I mean, I don't know why you're shocked, but that's fucking funny. Most importantly, however, we found that there was a lot of support for hiding grades. This is something we'll consider as a permanent change going forward. What, just hide grades? Please say you didn't just learn that one thing. We've learned from all these tests that we need to hide grades. Cheers. Appreciate it. Could you imagine? Next steps. With all these learnings in mind. Is that a word? All these learnings in mind. It just sounds weird. With everything we've learned, seems more normal. How would I write it? All the learnings in mind. Learnings. We have a solution that will improve matchmaking for both groups of players. We will be making the following changes shortly. So they're going to reduce... Oh, no. No. Oh, this is bad. I think, I might be wrong. I'm going to read through, but I don't know if that sounds good. So they're going to reduce the maximum range. So they're making it so you go closer to your level. Which means that at the higher level, queue times go a bit longer, and you only get matched with people closer to the 4-man Swifts, what you can't beat with most of the killers. That's less variety in killers, obviously. But we'll see, there might be more. Reducing the expansion time proportionally, so it's no faster or slower than before. Reducing the expansion time proportionally. Well, that doesn't change anything. Oh, reducing it, sorry. Oh, that's worse again, isn't it? So basically what I'm getting from this, I could be wrong. That's why I'm telling you guys, and then you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. So reducing the maximum range. Let's go back to this because I can actually use this. So reducing the maximum range means that this blue is actually going to be like here, right? Right? And they're also going to make it where, let's say this red, this is where you're matching. They're going to make it where this comes out slower to the edges instead of faster, right? So you're searching for a more narrow players, and the longer you're waiting, it takes longer for it to search for more outside. So longer queue times. That's what it sounds like to me. Am I wrong or right? They're making it faster. Reducing the maximum range is making it faster, and reducing the expansion time is making it faster. I ain't seen this yet. This might be making it faster, but this is making it faster. Reducing the maximum range. Reducing the expansion time does make it faster. I'm very confused by this. It means the red is expanding faster. Reducing the maximum range, or you talk about the expansion time? Oh yeah, reducing the expansion time. So it goes faster with that. Why does it say so it's no faster or slower than before? Or does it say all here? Okay, let's just go through these. So reducing the maximum range, that means that it's going to be slower, right? But reducing the expansion time means it's going to go a bit faster, correct? I just saw reducing on both of them and put them into the same box, but they're not. Because it's reducing the maximum range obviously makes it so it's closer matchmaking, but reducing the expansion time actually means that it's going to be faster to expand. When I read this shit from these devs, I sometimes just miss what they're saying for some reason. So it's saying with these two, it's no faster or slower in total. It's just that it's stricter, correct? Are we on the same page now? So it's no faster or slower, even though I don't know why it wouldn't be with this. I think this will make it slower, because sometimes there won't be anyone in your range. Right? So let's say let's say normally, right, there's someone here. You won't be able to match them anymore because the maximum range is there. So it spends faster, but it never matches with them. But before they were there, and even though this expanded slower, you would eventually match with them. Oh, god damn it. So this one, right, there's a person here, right? You can't match with them because this is where it'll expand to. It'll expand faster, but there's no one there. They're there, right? But on this one, there's someone here, same place, but it can actually expand to them, but it's slower to get to them. Do you see what I mean? So you will eventually match with that person, but they'll be lower level, right? But you'll get them, and you don't need to wait for anyone. On this one, if there's someone here, and someone here, and someone here, someone here, you'll never touch them. You'll only touch them if they're here or here, correct? So overall, that will make queues longer. At the higher MMR, that will make queues longer. 100%. 100%. Okay, we're on the same page. Lowering the effective cap for skill ratings. Interesting. That could be a big thing. We have to see what to. Removing grades from... They all reminded me a bit of the culling devs. With how kind of just... I don't know, man. The way they see things in some areas is just so weird. Why these changes? As mentioned in the learnings, we have two dominant groups. High skill players who want more variety, low mid-skill players who want even matches. In order to make both groups happy... can you read all this? You can't, can you? I need to go up. Okay, you pretty much can get there, and then the once. So, in order to make both groups happy, we need to isolate them from each other. To do this, we'll reduce the maximum expansion range. Okay, yeah, I could have just read this, but it's nice to work it out myself without them spoon feeding it me. This will help keep players of similar skill levels together, which will be less variety, obviously, so far. Because at the top it's mainly just nurses and blights because they're the only ones who can really compete. Reducing the number of one-sided matches. Majority of players fall in the middle of the spectrum, so there's plenty of people to match with. Additionally, seems like the expansion is happening at a good rate. We'll be adjusting the expansion time proportionally. Next, we need to consider how this will affect the high skill group. Reducing the range would mean less variety, yes. Fortunately, we have another variable to tweak that solves the issue perfectly. For the purposes of matchmaking, we can have a cap for skill ratings. Although your rating can continue to climb beyond this, we know this. We worked this out because of freaking hackers, right? Who could literally see the MMR and how it works. So we already knew this. But I wonder what they're not going to tell us. They don't tell us anything. I fucking hate how they don't tell us anything. I'd love to know these numbers so we can see like what change instead of just being like, okay, I trust you. Although your rating can continue to climb beyond this, you'll be treated as if you're at the cap for the purposes of matchmaking. This is in a place to prevent the best players out there from climbing to a point where there's simply no one to match with. Yes. By lowering this, we're able to expand the pool of players to high skill matches, leading to more variety in opponents you face. One match may be very close and competitive, but the next may be a little more laid back. This is also to ensure that queue times don't grow longer at higher skill levels. How much are they lowering it by? Because that matters. If they like, let's say 1,900 is the cap at the moment. Let's say they lower it to 1,500. That's huge. But what happens if they just lower it to 1,850? That's not really that much different. So, what are they lowering this to? They won't tell us. Lastly, we'll be removing grades from the post. I just find that fucking hilarious to me. I don't know. We'll be removing the grades from the post-match. When we originally hit the grades during the test, we saw a lot of people asking for this to be made permanent. Yeah, because you're confusing people. Additionally, long-time players who may have missed the news could often think that grades were still used for matchmaking, possibly leading them to... I mean, I told you this. You didn't even need to do this. Like, weren't it obvious to everyone that this would confuse people? Like, it's saying you're rank 1, but it's nothing to do with your matchmaking. like, it's like League saying that you're Grandmaster and you actually bronze level or whatever, but it says you're Grandmaster. Like, leading to feel the match was less fair than it actually was. These combined with the general more positive feedback during the tests while they were disabled were enough of a reason to disable them for the foreseeable future. Ugh. Mess. Distinct, thank you for the 20 at 7 months, appreciate it. Savage for the 50 bits, this is confusing. This is confusing. Are you as curious as I am to the devs right on the resumes? It's Sumter, thank you for the sub as well, if I missed that. So for the future, we're still hard at work implementing various improvements to the matchmaking system. These include making survivor ratings team-based rather than personal. So dying, hereditary save everyone else isn't as punishing. How are you going to do that? And the improvements to backfilling lobbies to prevent players from outside of the acceptable... What are you doing with Swift, by the way, devs? What were you doing with Swift? You know when someone's like 2,000 MMR and they Swift with someone who's 10 MMR? Are you still going to give them killers at 500 MMR? Or what are you doing? Why are you not mentioning that? Because that's happening. What are you doing with that? That doesn't fix anything. It'd be kind of funny, ironically, that most of these like unfair matches might be due to Swifts smurfing with lower, weaker players to go against weaker killers. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that's like one big reason why that happens? Because it does happen. I see it. Imagine if that's like a big problem. Anyway. These improvements will take longer to implement, but be rest assured, work is already underway on them. You can find a full list of changes we're working on in our January developer update. Once again, we want to thank everyone. You can't see this. I guess I can put it up. Once again, we can thank everyone who took the time to leave feedback for the test, understanding not just how the matchmaker performs, but also how it feels incredibly important for us to make improvements. As always, we're keeping an eye on the matchmaking system moving forward and making small adjustments as necessary. Please keep the feedback coming. Well, there you go.